everyone. Good afternoon. Here behind the phone is Dani speaking. I would like to introduce you guys. This is Mateja from Migration Plus. I'm really grateful that she gave this space. And today we're going to discuss and share some key and basic information as well about the new DAMA list. So thank you very much, Mateja, for coming, and please tell a little bit about your position and your company.
Yes. So I'm a principal migration agent and director of Migration Plus here in Cairns. We are a migration group and we assist students and clients and businesses with migration needs all over Australia and mainly far north Queensland. I'm very familiar with the Student Hub and I'm very happy to assist students with the questions and volunteering here from time to time.
Thank you very much. We and the students really appreciate your time and knowledge with these appointments that we have as well through the Student Hub. So let's start about the DAMA list. Can you tell us?
So let's demystify this far north Queensland DAMA version 2. There's a lot of excitement happening and a lot of inquiries. Students are very keen to find out all about it and what are the opportunities for them. So I will call it Let's Demystify the DAMA Myth. So the DAMA agreement is basically an agreement between the far north Queensland region with basically Cairns region, and under this new agreement is the whole far north Cape has been included as well, which is great. So we can look at it as a special list of occupations and conditions under which the businesses in this area can sponsor employees and fill the shortages in this area.
So this is like some flexibility, but it's not visa. It's an agreement that can apply in some in the visa.
It's only in this area.
All right.
It's only the businesses that are active and trading and operating in far north Queensland area that is included in that agreement. So basically the Cairns Chamber of Commerce is authorised or negotiated that agreement with the Commonwealth Government, and they basically every year review what are the needs for the businesses in this area, what are the occupations that are in critical shortage, and then they negotiate terms and agreements under which each particular occupation can be nominated, for which visa. There are certain concessions, for example, if we talk particularly now under this the new list that we were waiting for more than a year, there is substantial more occupations included,
yes,
which is great, but some were also taken off, for example. So this will happen every year, so the list is reviewed every year and some occupations may be added, some may be taken off. So this is something to be aware that this is not a pathway to for the students, for example, to try to find a pathway under what is available today. It may not be in a year time or 2 years time that they may be available.
Yes, I always recommend the students, it's important to keep themselves informed, updated. They need to search because this is for limited time, so no, it doesn't mean that apply for everyone. So it's some specific requirements and need to really have a look if it's applied for their case. Each case is different. So this time we're gonna talk about the general things and how in some way read and understand the list. But of course, always is good that the students have a private appointment to really have a look their case. Here that they have to have these appointments is crucial. The resume needs to be updated and high detailed in the resume. So
absolutely, everything we're discussing today is really a general advice and
yes,
kind of explaining how this DAMA works. Every student or potential, applicant is different. It is very critical to assess what qualification they may have from before, their work experience, their English, and in particular under the DAMA, I will step back and explain the process under the DAMA. This agreement is really between the business, each business that is applies under this DAMA, and the Commonwealth government. So it's not about the visa applicant. There is no such thing as a DAMA visa. We get so many inquiries, I want to apply for a DAMA visa. There is no such thing. So the first step is really under this agreement is for the business that needs certain occupations or number of employees. They apply to a Cairns Chamber of Commerce and get an approval.
So they have, as a company, they need to have some specific requirements to be
Absolutely.
eligible to sponsor someone.
Absolutely. They not only that they have to present the case to the chamber here to get an endorsement, they have to provide evidence that they really can't find any Australian citizens or permanent residents to be able to take this position. Are they in a solid financial position to be able to afford this employee, because the government wants to know that whoever is employed can be paid according to award and not being exploited and so on. So there is a very stringent process of assessment under the Cairns Chamber of Commerce endorsement, and only once the business gets recommendation from the local assessment authority or DAR authority, then they actually have to present a case and basically enter into a legal agreement with the Commonwealth government asking for approval. We will need 2 cooks and 3 chefs and for example for the business, and then they get assessed again, and only once they get that agreement in place they can actually nominate and offer a position to an employee under this agreement.
Is anywhere, I mean, of course online is a lot of information, but what is the right place to have a look those companies who already have this agreement? Or
yeah, so basically this DAMA agreement is now 2.5 years old, and in reality it hasn't been used much because the previous terms and conditions were really not advantageous in any way, so not many businesses were using this. But on the department website, all labour agreements, whether under this DAMA or under any DAMA agreements or their company-specific agreements, they are published. And all companies that are approved are on that list. So yes, it is possible to check whether a company has an approved labour agreement under this DAMA.
And what is the place? The Cairns Chamber of Commerce there?
It's on the Department of Home Affairs website.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about, because if you compare, yes, then this new DAMA list has more professions included, but as well more sections.
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell us a little bit how we can read easily this list?
So maybe in general I'll say what is the main difference now between the previous DAMA version and this 1.2 DAMA. So one of the main differences or advantages that we can see for this agreement to be more user-friendly or workable, and especially for maybe geared towards students being able even to meet the requirements in some way, it's a work experience. So work experience previously was determined always as a post-qualification relevant work experience, which meant if a student was studying degree in Australia, so only work experience after would count, after completing the degree would count for migration purposes. Under these DAMA provisions, the work experience, it doesn't say it has to be post-qualifications. So for all the groups, the relevant qualifications are still required. However, the work experience, as long as it is on the right level, as long as it's part-time or full-time, never casual, and in that occupation may still count towards meeting the requirements under the DAMA towards being eligible for that visa. So that is one of the main advantages
for the students, yes, because
Correct.
that allows them to start getting that experience that they need even before finish the certificate
Correct.
or any study degree that they are doing. All right. So as well, we can see in the list that is like first the positions, and then it's about these unskilled levels, skill levels,
Yes.
groups. But
So there are 8 different groups of occupations, and then under each group there is also different skill level. So skill level is Australian qualification standard. So skill level 1 is bachelor degree, skill level 2 is at least a diploma, and so on.
So the skill levels is connected about the studies, like
Correct.
at the level of the studies.
Correct.
Depends of the occupation. Maybe for this occupation they may need bachelor, but maybe for another type of occupation the
Correct.
minimum studies requirement could be a certificate 4.
Correct.
All right.
So that's a skill level. It's always as per ANSCO. And then for the group, we also have requirements that it says what is required for an occupation in this group to meet the requirements for a visa under the DAMA. So this is the difference under each group. So that's how they should be looked at. So for example, if we look just in general under the group 1, so the applicant still has to meet skill level, which is main, let's say for an accountant, it still needs to have a bachelor degree. And then they need to have 2 years work experience, 35 hours per week, for example. And skills assessment only if it's required under the standard process, under standard requirements, not under the DAMA. So for some occupations under the TSS for a visa, for example, some occupations have a mandatory skills assessment. So only these occupations or certain passport holders from some countries, for example, chef from Korea needs to have a skills assessment. So only that time is mandatory. So that's how these groups kind of work.
All right. So one more time, that's why it's really important to have a private appointment because each case is different. Okay, it's also we saw in this new list about like a limited spaces in some of the occupations.
So under every year when this variation is negotiated under the DAMA, the Commonwealth government allocates certain number of spaces to the Cairns Chamber of Commerce, and they say these are so many occupations that can be, the Cairns region can basically use under this DAMA.
So that is means that is a specific number that can apply under
Yes.
that position.
Not under the position, but under
The region, the area?
Correct.
Ah,
yes.
okay.
And it's allocated each year, but there is no issue that there would suddenly be not enough places. So I think that concern is not there.
Because what I mean is, for example, in one of the columns, they mentioned like a limited.
Limited.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that means completely something different. So
Okay.
there are few occupations, and as you go down through the list in different groups, the lower the skill level. So the occupations that have limited next to it means that they can be only nominated by the businesses that are located outside, let's call it Cairns CBD area or Cairns area.
Like
So
a
it's only
remote
very
places?
remote. Yeah, anything outside Cairns postcodes which are defined, yes. So for example, waiter cannot be nominated by a business in Cairns, but it can be nominated by a business in Ripa or Lakeland or
Okay.
Cooktown or something like that. So
Like
there
a
are
really
few
remote
occupations.
places that, because yes, we were pretty surprised like at this kind of position, like a waitress.
Yes. So the government has basically recognized that in very remote regional areas, there is simply shortage of skilled workers in many occupations, or in agriculture there are many now completely new occupations that can be nominated under the DAMA.
All right. Is any as well this like a flexibilities as well is involved with the English level
Yes.
and age?
So the purpose of this DAMA also is that provides some kind of concessions to the businesses. Again, it's geared to the businesses, not to the visa applicants, but it's the visa applicants that get these concessions. So again, there is an age concession, for some occupations up to 50 or 55, recognizing that there may be skilled workers that have a lot of experience, they've already been here for a long time, and they cannot meet the standard age for the permanent residency 45, which is under most or all permanent visa pathways. Then there is English concession as well for certain occupations. There is a TSMIT concession or the salary concessions only for some occupations as well, up to 10% of that 53,900 minimum salary level that is under any other.
So that the last concession that you mentioned about the salary is like some flexibility for the employers to be able to hire that.
It is very, very specifically regulated. So by no means that allows for paying an overseas worker less. It only allows, for example, in a very remote area, maybe Australian cook earns less than 53,900, and in these circumstances, under normal visa pathway, they were not able to nominate another cook because they would have to pay them more, which would be discriminating. So if the real market salary rate is lower than that amount for an Australian, then they can use that concession.
All right, yes, it's good to clarify that, because can be misunderstood for the student, like, oh, so it means that they're going to pay less to us? No, it's no. I mean, it's only regulations there behind,
all
of course.
They have to comply with the award regulations, and students should always check with Fair Work, what is my entitlement, what should I be paid. So definitely there is no space for misuse of that, and particularly under the DAMA there will be high compliance of the businesses as well.
All right.
I would also mention, after reviewing all this DAMA and looking and talking to many students now, should I be using DAMA? My advice to all students is follow your heart, study what you are here to study, what you want to do. Do not change the course, do not try to fit within some lower skilled occupations that they may not be here next year. It is a very complex, very expensive process. There are many other visa subclasses that may be way more advantageous going forward than the actual DAMA. So by all means, businesses do have this option to employ and use this pathway also to employ students.
Yes, definitely this is not really for everyone, and they really need to, it's important that they really thinking and search about any decision and don't take a rush.
Absolutely, and I see so many students that already come with the skills, with university degree qualifications from overseas, that they should be trying and using and progress their career in Australia and trying to find a skill employment. It's very difficult, but it happens, and employers certainly are looking for all kinds of skills rather than trying to fit into some very low skilled occupations. I always say to clients, is that really something that you see yourself doing for the next 5 years or even longer? It's not just investment in studies, investment in your life, it's your time. So we are certainly here to help and provide really ethical and professional advice what your options are, so the students can make the right decisions for them, knowing about all the options and all the risks.
Perfect. Is there any, for example, position that you would like to share as an example about this new list and how?
Yeah, so there are some really, good solutions that came out of this DAMA, for example, that are really specific to this area and were not possible before. So, for example, we have marine environment interpreter now, which is basically marine biologists working on the reef, on the tourist boats, providing experience explaining the marine biology to tourists or to different professionals, but it's not really a marine biologist working in a lab, for example. So that's one of the solutions that this DAMA has provided. Then we have, for example, diving instructor into tourism or photography. That was always, difficult to fit. It's not a photographer, it's not a diving instructor. So there are quite few occupations like this.
Actually, I have a student who is her dream job.
Yes.
And she just started working in that.
Yes. So it's and that's where this, advantage as well of this, as I mentioned before, qualifications and the work experience, that there is the space for that follow your dream. If you really find something you want to do, if you're working while you're here already, this may lead to that kind of outcomes. If you get your licensing and you already have this required work experience, yes, they may be possible. And
anyway, it's important. It's still education requirements and work experience requirements.
Absolutely, all groups still require qualifications. It's just a different level, and work experience, and also then all occupations from the skill level 3 onwards, they require skills assessment, which is also very specific under this DAMA, and it's only in most cases valid just under this DAMA. So again, you wouldn't be rushing into something unless you really know that you are eligible, that you have a stable job, that the business is solid and they really want to sponsor you, the business has been assessed, and only in these circumstances you would then consider this pathway.
All right. Is anything else that you want to add? Any advice for the students that you would like to share and recommend them before they take any decision?
Absolutely. I would say seek professional advice. Don't rely on information my friends did this or websites on different forums. It is too critically important what you do next on your visa. Get advice. There's a lot of professional migration professionals here in the area that will be happy to help you. And look at all options. Don't look just at DAMA. Don't look just skilled visa. There are many options that may suit your circumstances better. So rely on professional advice. That would be mine.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much for your time. One more time, Mateja. We're gonna add the links, the relevant links to this video. If you guys would like to have a private appointment with Mateja, please feel free to contact me through the Student Hub Messenger, WhatsApp, or Instagram, and we can organize the first free appointment, and what are the requirements. And if you have any additional questions, you can comment to this video, and as well we may do a second video about it, or just connect you guys with directly with Mateja.
Or we can also do the Q&A questions and publish them after. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.